Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1330 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Tuesday, October 18th. The Atlanta Hawks open their season tomorrow on Wednesday, and we are in the middle of a two-part episode with my friend Robby Kalland. A couple plugs here at the top of the show. Number one, this is part 2 of 2. So if you missed part 1, it dropped at the same time on Tuesday. That should be in your feed right now. It's better to listen to these in order, so part 1 is available for you right now. Robby and I talk about the Western Conference, over-under, sort of the season preview. Every single year we talk about over-unders with myself and Robby. Eastern Conference stuff dropped about a week and a half ago on the feed. Today is a two-parter on the West. This is part 2 that you're about to listen to. Also, I recorded an episode on Monday evening in the wake of the extension deadline with DeAndre Hunter, as well as some news and notes, some mailbag questions, some shooting guard stuff, etc. That is available for you right now. We're very, very busy now in advance of the season, and the Hawks do open on Wednesday. We'll also have one more show between now and then with my final sort of predictions and preview stuff dropping Tuesday evening into Wednesday, so stay tuned for all that as well. And after this sort of break to hear the intro to the podcast, I'll be back with myself, Robby Kalland, part 2 on the West.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm joined again by my friend Robby Kalland of Diamond UPROXX. We are here for part 2 of a two-part chat about the Western Conference over-unders. If you missed any of the intro stuff from part 1, listen to it there. But Robby, welcome back to the podcast.
Happy to be here.
A short break to write some breaking news. And here we are talking about the Western Conference. And we have reached the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis was a breakout team last year, 56 wins, immaculate vibes. Everyone loved the Grizzlies. And I was a little surprised by this. The number at BetOnline as of right now on Monday is 49 wins.
Yeah,
pretty modest.
Yeah, it was 49.5 to start, and I was ready to hop on the under, man. I was going to.
I kind of was too. That's kind of why I was surprised, because this number is not low, and this number is not high enough for me to be excited about the under.
Yeah.
Part of the context that's important is that Jaren Jackson is going to be out for at least another month, maybe longer. That is part of this. They also lost Anthony Melton and Kyle Anderson, so they are worse on paper even before the Jackson injury, because they only brought in an injured Danny Green and some rookies to replace them. So they're already a little worse. You throw in Jaren, some potential regression. I don't know how you feel about that, like team quality-wise. Like, they were really good last year. Of course, they had that famous, like, they were like 20-1 without Ja or some stupid number.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So I did think that they were going to win less games this year, but 49 is like low. That number's low enough where I wouldn't be running to bet the under either.
No, I think it's about right. I think I maybe lean under, if anything, but I think that's just because I have a decent number of overs on the board. And
you're known as an over better, generally speaking. So
yeah,
that's good
to hear. So I kind of lean under, if anything, but I think this is about right. I think 48 to 50 wins feels about where they are. I think they're solidly a playoff team, probably top 6. But I do think there's potential that they maybe slide behind the Pelicans in the division. Like if everything breaks right with Zion's health, like it wouldn't surprise me necessarily. I think one of my questions, and especially with Jaren out, is his fit. So Steven Adams' fit with this team was something I was unsure of going into last year. Is one of the reasons I was kind of down on them a year ago, is I thought it was a downgrade going from Valanciunas to Steven Adams, but he worked kind of perfectly with what Jaren is, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. He is good at being where he's supposed to be, but he's not a great rim protector anymore, in terms of he's not a great help side guy, just because he doesn't have that burst. But that's exactly what Jaren is. And so because Steven Adams could kind of be the anchor, Jaren was allowed to fly around, and it's part of what made Jaren a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Without him, I wonder if they can still replicate that. Brandon Clark, who they just re-signed, probably steps into that role of Jaren Jackson Jr. On defense in terms of flying around and using his athleticism, but he's just not as long. Like, he can jump like crazy, but the length is the reason Brandon Clark slid in the draft, because he's 6'8" with fairly short arms for that size. And I think that's going to be a considerable loss because Jaren played, like 75 games last year? He played a ton, which was not the case for him ever before that. And I think that was really underrated with what he did for their defense. I like a lot of their guys. I still think they're a good team. I think this number is about right. They maybe have a little regression candidacy, like you said, because they won some close games kind of in crazy fashion a couple of times. But also they're in that play hard and win regular season games group. So I don't want to jump on they're going to fall back 10 wins from last year, which is where you kind of have to be to bet this under. You have to think that a 10-win regression is a very real possibility. And I don't necessarily see that. So I'm with you. I think it's a stay away. And I guess if I'm picking one way or the other, maybe a slight lean under. But Ja is really good. They win games. They have a lot of depth, even with losing a couple of guys. Desmond Bane's really good. Like they have dudes.
Yeah, I'm definitely higher on the guys they lost, which is maybe why I'm pessimistic. Like I'm big on D'Anthony Melton. I'm big on Kyle Anderson. And they replaced them with guys who could be interesting in the future, but generally speaking, rookies are not going to help you. They're hoping for a lot from Zaire Williams. They are very high on him. And that's maybe one of the reasons why you would like Memphis to kind of keep their level is that Zaire will be in year 2. Bane had his breakout already, but could be even better this year, potentially. Maybe Ja stays a little bit healthier. He missed a bunch of time, although he is probably going to be doing that most of the time. Like I don't see him as like a 75-game player most of the time with the way he plays. So, yeah, I think they're going to be good. I would certainly project fewer wins than last year. I also don't I don't have an inkling on running out to bet the under either. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you.
One more thing.
Here we go.
The reason for optimism.
This is important. Kenny Lofton Jr.
Kenneth Lofton Jr., baby.
I should have known.
Two-way. If he was on the roster and not a two-way, over.
First time he checks into a game in the regular season, it's going to be
buckets.
Like just Twitter is going to be upflamed.
Kenny
led by you, I think. I like him.
I need league pass alerts. Memphis media.
I mean,
I need to know. I need alerts when he is called up. I need to know when he's going to play. They need to start him.
Just talk to their front office. I can tell you like 3 guys in their front office who I know personally, and just check in with them if you want me to. Yeah, it'd be good.
It's gonna be
They're
great.
loaded. This is it's a draft Twitter team all the way through and through.
David Roddy season.
They even got Kennedy Chandler, who like I love. Kennedy Chandler. He's not going to play for them because they have Tyus Jones too, but like he's really good. I like Kennedy Chandler. So every year they find at least one guy everybody loves. This year,
I can't wait for Kenny.
It's just crazy. David Roddy, Jake LaRavia, who everybody likes, including me. So
Santi Aldama.
Yeah, Santi Aldama's on this team. I don't know. They're
good.
He's good. I don't know what you want.
He dominated Summer League. He was out there putting up like Wilt numbers in Summer League.
We have the first ever recorded Wilt Sandy Aldama comparison here on the Locked On Hawks podcast. Tell a friend, tell an enemy about the show. All right, let's go to the Lakers. Worst vibes for sure on the Lakers. The number is 44.5 wins. Last year they won 33 games. Their number 3 through 10 players on the roster could not have possibly been worse last year. And AD missed 41 games. LeBron missed 26 games. They still have Russ against all odds at this moment. They did lose Malik Monk, who was their probably 3rd best player last year.
I would say so. I think
minimum top 5 player last year.
They lost Carmelo Anthony, who might have been one of their 5 best players.
He was helpful too. Yeah, I mean, they did. I will say this. They are better this year 3 through 10 than they were last year. Pat Bev is a good player. Dennis Schroeder, who was an old friend of yours, just got injured, but he's on this team.
Thumb surgery.
Lonnie Walker is not great, but he's an NBA player. Thomas Bryant, Damian Jones, Juan Toscano Anderson, Troy Brown, Kendrick Nunn is supposed to be healthy after missing last season. Like they have Max Christie's like a guy people like. They have more guys.
Matt Ryan,
Austin Reeves, Matty Ice on the team. So I don't know. It all comes down to how many games AD and LeBron play, right? I mean, Is there anything else to even say?
No. I mean, when those two play, they're really good. Even last year, when those two played together, they were good. When they don't, they're quite bad.
Yeah, and again, like they're still bad. I mean, their 3 through 10 is still bad. It's just better than it was last year, which is a tiny bar to climb over. I think Pat Bev is the best player they've had on either team other than AD and LeBron. But he also might get hurt. He's always hurt for some portion of the schedule. Maybe just maybe Russ is better than he was last year. He's still talented.
Six-man Russ.
That might go over well. We will say, I know I should speak for you on this. This is a pro Darvin Ham podcast.
Oh my God. Yes.
We both covered Darvin in Atlanta.
Love him.
I hope that goes well for Darvin.
I do too. Like I would like to be optimistic about the Lakers for no other reason. Really, for no other reason. I like Darvin Ham, and I want him to succeed. I would like him to continue to be the head coach in the league because he's deserved it for a while, and happy to see him get that spot. Tough go, though. Best of luck out there because there's going to be some decisions to be made during the season. That's not an easy first gig because you're going to have a lot of roster combinations.
Yeah, a challenge for sure for Darvin. But I don't even know what I would say. I guess I'd just take the under if you made me choose. I wouldn't bet this, no chance, but under is my play if I had to pick one.
Sure.
There are more downside scenarios than upside scenarios.
This is in the Nets. The Nets. Like,
agreed. No, I would never play this. Never.
On the board, those two.
I just mean there are more scenarios for the under than the over.
Totally hear you.
But yes,
like,
stay away.
If somehow LeBron and AD play like 60 games, then like they go.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs, and these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain they have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs right now today. LinkedIn Jobs helps find our people for your team faster and for free. I've had to hire a few times in the last few years. LinkedIn Jobs has proven to be an awesome resource. It's incredibly easy to create a free job post at LinkedIn Jobs. They have high-quality candidates that you need to locate the best possible hire. Then once you're set up, you can add the job in the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're actually hiring. And LinkedIn Jobs has simple tools like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience. You can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and eventually hire. You want to finish the year strong, and finding the right team member is a key piece of doing just that. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires against leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find quality candidates that you want to talk to, and they help you to do it faster. You can post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, let's dive into the cross arena rival Clippers. 52.5 wins is the Clippers number, juiced a little bit to the under. Last year, you can kind of throw it out, but kind of not. They won 42 games with 0 from Kawhi, and Paul George played 31 games. So that's very impressive in itself that they were able to win 42 games. They add John Wall, who's kind of a question mark, but should be at least a pretty good player for them. They get a full season now of Norm Powell and Robert Covington. They did lose Isaiah Hartenstein, which is not a nothing loss. Like, he's a good player. But, I mean, the Clippers, I think everyone's talking about them as a playoff team, which I also am. Regular season-wise, it's like, I mean, Kawhi's not going to play back-to-backs. We know that. PG, over under 60 games, I don't know. But they have so much depth. It's like, it's comical how deep they are. Like, it truly is. Like, they have, like, the 12th man's making $10 million. It's just nuts.
Ballmer money, baby.
Yeah, it's a huge competitive advantage to have Steve Ballmer. Like,
great.
They're paying Luke Kennard $16 million a year to be like their fifth wing. It's insane. And they're fine with it.
They don't care.
Why would they?
I love that. He has so
much money, it doesn't matter.
Money. Yes. He doesn't care. He's my favorite kind of owner in the sense of, like, he seems to, for the most part, like, leave the basketball decisions to the basketball people and say, make the most entertaining product for me to sit under the goal and clap like a moron for.
That's all he wants. Do you need money, Lawrence Frank? Because if the answer is yes, take the money.
There it is. Blank check. Doesn't care.
I mean, the all-time. We talked about it at the time, but that Covington Powell trade was the all-time ownership flex.
Yes.
They did that move to take on a ton of salary in a year where they knew they weren't going to have Kawhi for this year. They did that move at the last deadline, take on $1 billion in tax money, all that stuff for this year. And they're still going to have $1 billion tax bill. It's insane. And I love it. If I was a Clippers fan, I would be I'd be so happy about Steve Ballmer. It's the opposite of like these teams like the Hawks this year who are ducking the tax on purpose. Steve Ballmer's like, bring on the tax, folks. Don't care. Can we get a little bit better?
Steve Ballmer will cut a check and send it to the Bulls. Direct.
It's nuts.
Jerry Reinsdorf, here you go.
They only
I know
have.
you're poor.
They truly only have on paper. They have one semi weakness, and it's backup center because they just don't have one. But even then, they could just play small. Like they have Marcus
Rocco.
They go. It is what it is. So I mean, I'm just tempted to like name guys. It's nuts. Like Terrence Mann is like their 13th man on this roster. He'd be like a rotation guy for most teams in the league. Nick
Batum.
Yeah.
Back
so
again.
I don't know. As far as over-unders are concerned, I do lean over. I don't know if it's a full-on play because I just don't know how much Kawhi is going to play basketball. But even if Kawhi, let's say this.
Talk to me. Scenario.
If Kawhi plays 50 games, over. If 50 games sounds reasonable, like they're gonna manage him heavily as they should, but like 50's a reasonable number. And like
also, the thing I'll say is he spent his year plus away. Like all he did was strengthen his legs. Like I've seen Matt Moore talk about this. He's like so much stronger in his lower body, which was not always. He's always been in very good shape, but like it's been noticeable. Like pretty much everybody that sees a photo of Kawhi is like, why are his quads so big now? And it's like he's gonna be more. Like I think he's going to be more durable. They're still gonna rest him, but like I think he's going to be a bit healthier because of that, because he's strengthened the base, and like 50 games feels about right. And if he plays 50 games, like over.
And also, I have not picked a title favorite on this podcast. I'll just signal that right now. I think if I had to pick a team to win the championship, it'd be Clippers, but we'll see.
Look, it's the thing, like you said, like they're so good, and it's just going to come down to like, can their top guys be there come playoff time? Because the other thing was they were really good right before, like they were really.
I think there is only
on the brink right before Kawhi got hurt.
Yeah, there's only one team I would argue has maybe two. One team I would argue that has a similar ceiling to the Clippers, and that's the Warriors. Like the full strength, everybody in Warriors are obviously very difficult to beat. Maybe the Nets. Like maybe if everything came perfectly together and Ben Simmons was his best self and all this stuff. I don't think that's going to happen. But just pure ceiling, I think Clippers and Warriors would be up there, and maybe the Nets. I mean, maybe
like Norman Powell's really good.
Yeah, they got those guys for nothing. Just money. They're just spending money. Robert Covington's their fourth wing. It's nuts. The whole thing is crazy. I mean, I know I'm being dramatic, but it's nuts. Like, again, I said this is actually a principle of this podcast, like how much these two-way forwards are worth. The Clippers have the following gentlemen on the same roster: PG and Kawhi, Norm Powell, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Amir Coffey, Nick Batum, Brandon Boston Jr., and Luke Kennard's a pure two, but like Luke Kennard's a good player. He's like the seventh wing. It's absolutely preposterous. This entire roster.
That's the other thing is like if they decide that they need to get a backup big,
they'll just trade for one. It's fine.
Trade one of your guys.
Exactly. So anyway, I'm
Jakob Poeltl, come on down. Wouldn't surprise you if they ended up with Poeltl.
No, I mean,
I don't know if
I think Ty Lue, not to do the whole Clippers podcast, I think Ty Lue likes to default small, which is kind of why this roster is what it is. Like you have Zubats, and as long as Zubats is healthy, they're fine. They can play 15, 20 minutes a night just small.
Gave the Clippers Zubats.
Hey, don't disparage Mike Muscala that way. We're not going to do this on this podcast. This is a pro Mike Muscala podcast.
They're just like, here.
Yeah, that was a bad trade.
Guy.
It was a very bad
Have this guy that we desperately need now and we have been trying to replace ever since.
It was very bad. Anyway, okay, that's enough of that. Clippers, we like the over. We like the Clippers. Moving right along. The Houston Rockets, different than the Clippers. 23.5 wins. They were a 20-win team last year, and they earned that. They were not unlucky. They were just that bad. They didn't do that much other than add rookies. They had Jabari Smith, of course, Tari Eason, who I like, Ty Washington. They invested in Hawks legend Bruno Fernando as their backup center. That was a fun little addition. They did lose Christian Wood, which matters. He's a good player. They're going to be awful. I think everyone agrees on that. The question is how awful. They still have Eric Gordon. Like, they have some guys that are veterans. Like,
how is Eric Gordon still there?
Eric Gordon and Jayshawn Tate are still on this team. I don't know why both of them. I mean, I guess Otis Batey is only like 26. Eric Gordon, I don't know why he's still there, but he is.
Wait, didn't Jay sign? I thought they traded Tate to OKC. Am I wrong there?
Oh no, he's still on the team.
Okay.
Jason Tate is still on the Rockets. He's injured. I think.
Nwaba.
Yeah, David Nwaba. They did they cut Derek Favors after bringing him in.
That was the funniest trade.
The weirdest.
It was just like 4 players for 4 players.
I think this is right. I heard this on Dunked On today. I believe every single player in that transaction is not on the team now on both sides.
I love money. I love cutdowns. Don't you love money laundering?
Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, this is going to be a bad basketball team. They do have a lot of talent. Jalen Green, really talented. Jabari Smith, Sengun, Kevin Porter
on an NFL contract now.
Yeah, it's a bizarre contract. But I could not bet the over. Like, you couldn't give me money to bet the over. I couldn't do it.
We took the over on the Vicini pod.
Can't do it.
I am walking that back some.
No, listen.
Like,
anytime a number is that, if the number is that low, there is a world where like Jalen Green makes the leap this year and he becomes like,
and they just like smoke that number,
a top 35, 40 player in the league in year 2. That's possible. Jalen Green has that kind of ceiling. Sengu, like, just the raw talent. That's the counter argument for Houston, and kind of like OKC is like they do have a lot of raw talent on this roster. It's just that they're all really young and not quite there yet. But if you get a guy or two that pops, I'm just not I don't believe in their point guard situation. Like, Kevin Porter's not a point guard, and they're trying to do that still, and it's fine. He's a talented guy. Josh Christopher, Nation Knicks,
not a J-Gup guy.
I mean, he's good.
He dribbles a lot.
And I don't know. And also, if you're Houston, here's the other thing about Houston: if they keep Eric Gordon all year and he's healthy and playing, probably an over team because he's really good. But like, aren't they going to trade Eric Gordon if he's healthy? Like, why wouldn't they trade Eric Gordon?
They can't. They haven't been able to yet. I don't know why. They've been trying.
They have
my one plea.
They have Boban, I think. Is that right?
They do have Boban. The Christian Wood trade.
Oh yeah.
My one plea to the Rockets, and this goes along with your point guard thing, is like, please get the ball to Jabari. I would like to see Jabari Smith be able to do stuff. Let's not do what Auburn did to him a lot, where the Auburn guards would just not pass him the ball despite the fact that he was the giant, most talented man on the floor because they thought they were better. And I have concerns about that because the Rockets guards have some traits of that. A little irrational confidence running through Mr. Christopher and Mr. Porter. Not to mention Jalen Green. Let's let Jabari cook some. Because I just want to see that, because I'll be honest, like, the flashes are so good with him that, like, I just kind of want to see, like, what he looks like getting some sustained run on an NBA floor. And I worry we're just going to get flashes again. And that's, I want him, like, your 2 top options should be Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr. They should be getting the 2 most shots. I don't think that happens. And it's going to be annoying.
They should have a lot of mouths to feed. I mean, even like KJ Martin is a guy who literally asked for a trade just because there's so many guys, and he's a good player. At least a useful young guy. Tari Eason, I don't even know how much he's going to play. And like, I love Tari Eason. Like, he was the guy I would have
taken. They're going to have to play him because he can play defense, and they don't have a lot of that.
Yeah, well, as the Hawks, like I said, like, he was the only guy I would have considered over Griffin was Tari Eason, and I would have taken Griffin, but Tari Eason was right there, and I liked him a lot. But I mean, backup center's a wasteland. Like, I'm happy for Bruno that he landed there, but like, that's not a great option necessarily. They have Usman Garuba, who's like kind of like a hybrid big. I don't know. It's a weird team. I tend to lean under, but the number is so low that no, thank you. Again, it's my recommendation.
I think I'll be optimistic. I'll lean over, but don't really want it anymore.
Let's go to Golden State. Different again than Houston. 52 is the number at BetOnline right now. They won 53 games last year with the following games played totals. Steph Curry, 64. This is decent enough. Klay Thompson, 32. Draymond Green, 46. And they still won 53 games, which would be the over on this year's number. And their supporting cast is maybe a little worse on the veteran side, but you have to factor in. But you have to factor in maybe more of Moody and Kuminga maybe a little bit of Wiseman.
They're gonna play Wiseman.
They added Dante DiVincenzo, who I think will be good there, honestly.
Love that Dante.
They did lose Gary Payton, which is a big loss. They lost Otto Porter. That's a big loss too. Yep. But you would hope, if you're the Warriors anyway, that you get a lot from Moody and Kuminga. I'm a Wiseman skeptic until proven otherwise, but like he's on the team and backup center is fine for him. I don't know.
Loon, though.
Yeah, I love Kevon Looney. Absolutely love him. I'll just say this.
It's raining.
I can't take the under.
Nope.
Won't do it.
Nope.
Could they hit the under and just cruise because they don't have a whole lot of urgency? Yes, for sure. The only reason why I'm not just like advocating the over is because they know they don't need to win that many games.
Correct. However, yeah, like
yeah.
Yeah, no, I got nothing to advocate for the under. Like the only argument I have seen anybody make for the under is like they might be hurt some and they might cruise, but it's like they were hurt and cruised last year.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I gave you those numbers because Draymond missed almost half the season.
Draymond wasn't playing.
Steph has had his worst year, his worst in terms of like there was the 1 year he missed all that time, but he had his worst statistical year in like a long time and still missed 18 games. And Clay played half the season and they still went over this number. And you would imagine, even if you are the biggest skeptic of Moody and Kuminga imaginable,
they're going to be better.
They'll be better than they were last year, you would think.
And I'm a Moody guy.
I love
Kuminga. Kuminga, I'm fascinated by. Like just generally, like I think he's a guy that like flashes stuff that you go, wow, like he could be a dude, but he also is just kind of all over the board at times.
Yeah.
I love Moses Moody.
Agreed.
That was one of my guys in that draft. Like and he plays the type of ball that is kind of what they want and need.
He's
like
an adult already.
I was so mad when they got like we were in the Slack room on draft night. I remember we were all like, "Are you kidding me?" The Warriors get Moody.
Him falling to them was silly.
I thought they should have taken him at 7.
Yeah, and they didn't have to.
Then they got him at 14.
They also have Ty Jerome, who might not be good, but
who's legend?
I still like.
How about that pull for you?
Nice.
Like that,
but no, I can't play the under.
Nope.
I like this over more than some of the stuff that I've done, but again, it's just because they may just pull off and not care. But other than that,
right, and that's they pedaled off the last 2 weeks of the season last year.
That's
why they did not fight for the 2 seed. They said, Memphis, you got it.
And I get why the projections don't like him because the projections are factoring in Clay and how much time he's missed and like how bad Wiseman has been when he's played, all that stuff. I get it, but like the core is the core. I think Clay's gonna be pretty good this year, honestly.
I think Clay will be good.
He's another full summer later.
He's gonna play probably 60.
Yeah, he'll play 55, 60 games.
He's gonna play 60, and he's gonna fight to play more, but they're gonna probably rest him on back-to-backs.
Wiggins got paid.
Wiggins got paid. Pool's just good, man.
He should be better. He should be better this year too. Yeah, I'm all in.
They're just
good. How about that?
Just the embarrassment. Them and the Clippers are just preposterous. Silly. And this next team we're going to get to.
Yeah, let's go to Denver. Denver is an interesting discussion because last year, led by the MVP, they somehow won 48 games.
They sure did.
With 9 games combined from their second and third best players. 9 combined games between Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr.
That's correct.
Because Jokic is an alien.
Because he's an unbelievable basketball player.
He's by himself good enough to will them to mid-high 40s, and then you
in the West,
figure it out. It's
nuts.
But Murray, I think, is going to be not great this year coming off of the ACL. There's some stuff about him kind of getting back a little bit slow. Still, like him being there helps a ton, even if he's diminished.
It's better. Like
Michael Porter Jr., I'm not the biggest fan of. He definitely will help them. He's a great shooter. He's huge. All that stuff. He's like a legitimate 6'10", 6'11". He's huge. I mean, he is. This is just
a really funny way. You just like
he is. He's huge.
He's a great shooter. He's huge.
He is. I mean, defensively, he's pretty bad, but whatever. They have Bruce Brown, who I love. I know you are also pro Bruce Brown.
There's going to be some just sick small ball lineups they run out there.
Yeah, Bruce Brown is funky. I mean,
he can do some of the Jokic stuff in the second unit as far as like facilitating through him and running weird, like center centric sets with a guy who's 6'5" instead of 7 foot. Like I'm excited for what Michael Malone is just a great coach as far as like getting the most out of guys.
He can get weird with him for sure. Yeah, I dig that signing. They also, the trade for KCP in exchange for Monty Morris and Will Barton is kind of an interesting one. It was kind of tax avoidance, but KCP fits really well with him, I think.
He's also kind of insurance. He's also insurance for Jamal Murray being not as good.
Yeah.
Right? Like just like he can let them not play Jamal Murray as much as they normally would play Jamal.
Well, and they also have Bones Highland, which also helps. Like Bones can score for you in a way that
microwave.
He can go score for you. I wish they still had Monty, but I get why they did that, at least on paper. The number's 51.5. It's juiced to the over. I think I lean over still, even though that's a high number. But Jokic, knock on wood, has been extremely durable, and as long as he's out there,
a floor-bound big fella.
Yeah, I
can't playing above the rim.
I mean, the smart money would be that he won't be quite as good as last year because he was so insanely good last year. But maybe he is. Maybe he's just this guy forever now. I don't know. Over for me. I'm not going to like bet my life on it because it's a high number and with juice to the over. But
over.
I refuse to bet the under. I'll tell you that.
No,
so.
I mean they're just over. I think there's going to be like, I think there's like 4 50-win teams in the West this year.
Yeah, and
like 50 plus, like solid.
The last team is actually another team we'll talk about now. Actually, let's just do that. But yeah, I agree. There's, we've already talked about. I think there might be 5. Honestly, maybe even 6. We'll see. The last team's Dallas. Mm-hmm. So Dallas last year won 52 games despite a 16-18 start. So they were kind of similar to the Pelicans, not quite as bad as the Pelicans, but they got hot late. Yeah. They lose Jalen Brunson, huge loss, obviously. They do add Christian Wood to help the front court. They had JaVale, who is a good regular season player for sure. They get our guy, Tim Hardaway Jr., back after he missed a bunch of time last season. And they have a full season now of Spencer Dinwiddie as well. So I think the reaction to Dallas losing Jalen Brunson has been a little bit overblown because you would think that they were losing like an all-star, and he's not quite that. But they don't really have any creation.
They didn't replace him.
Yeah, I mean, Dinwiddie, as long as they have Dinwiddie, they'll be okay. But if Dinwiddie misses any time, or God forbid Luka misses any time, they don't have anybody to create. They have 2 guys on the team that can create offense. It's Luka and Dinwiddie. Maybe you go to like Jaden Hardy as a rookie after that. Like they don't have any juice on the perimeter. Like that's a
bucket getter right there.
He can get buckets for sure.
Doing much more,
but they don't have. I mean, guys I like. Let's just say guys I like Frank Ntilikina. I like him. He's a valuable player. He can't create offense for you. Tim Hardaway Jr.
Summer League legend.
Tim Hardaway Jr. Same thing. Not a creator. He's a shooter. He's a scorer, but he's a jump shooter. Reggie Bullock, 3-and-D guy.
Great corner 3-point shooter.
Dorian Finney-Smith, corner 3 guy. Like they have Luka, and as long as Luka's there, it's fine. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing about the Brunson loss. More than just losing Brunson, it's like what they don't have if anything goes wrong with Luka or Dinwiddie.
Yeah, and I just think there's a team that just has to lose some because we've got all these. I keep, betting overs here. I think it's the Mavs. Like I think Luka's phenomenal. All of that, but I look at this roster. I think they're a worse roster than the 4 teams that I've talked about. Phoenix, despite all that stuff,
despite vibes,
Minnesota, the Clippers, the Warriors, and the Nuggets.
Yeah,
like those. I guess it's 5 teams.
They do have the worst roster. I mean, it's funny because it's been that way the whole time, and they seemingly just win a bunch of games every year. Maybe it's just Luka, but
yeah, I mean, like Luka does that, and like maybe I just will keep getting.
I agree with you though. They do have a worse roster than those teams though. Like you'd have a hard time picking them above any of those top 5 in my mind. But they also couldn't do it because they've just been able to do it. Last year was the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like they defended great last year, and no one thought that was going to happen coming into the season.
So I'm interested to see Jason Kidd teams, and I guess maybe year 2 is not when it happens. He kind of has like a Tibbs thing where like eventually the message wears thin. Like it happened in Milwaukee, where it's just like eventually the guys tune you out when you have that style. And I don't know, like, I'm with you. Like, I don't see how the personnel is an elite defense, but they keep doing it. And now you're going to really up the ante on, we're going to find out how good Kid's system is, because Christian Wood is not that dude defensively. I don't know. I just think somebody's got to have a little step back. I think Dallas, I don't want, like, what's number 48?
48 and a half.
48 and a half. Like, that's probably close to right. I think that, but I do think they're in the Memphis range of like high 40s is probably in play. I think they're just below those other five. And I think it's crazy that one of Dallas and Memphis is going to be in the play-in.
Well, one of those seven, even like you can go as far as to say like any of those seven teams. I agree. We agree on that, on the tiering, generally speaking. But like, maybe just somebody gets hurt. Like maybe it's just as simple as somebody misses 50 games and that team. That's what happens. Like teams, that happens. Last year it was Denver that just got, and Jokic saved them anyway, but they got battered by injuries. And maybe Steph misses half season or something like that, and the Warriors do it or whatever. But yeah, I'm with you. Like the fact that there are 7 teams in the West projected for at least 48 and a half wins that's crazy in a league where the top 6 makes the top 6 avoids the play-in, 7 team doesn't, and that's before you even get into the Pelicans, people like, or the Lakers, who have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the team.
Yep.
I mean, that's 9 right there. Like if you like New Orleans or LA, and like people are fans of Portland. Like I don't really see it with Portland, but like that's a team that could be there. So yeah, 17th for 6th spot. It's the same thing in the East. We talked about the East to sort of wrap this all up. Like the East is the same problem. Like pick your play-in team. I have no idea who it's supposed to be between Cleveland and Atlanta and Brooklyn and the top 4 from last year, and that's 7 right there. So both conferences, like I think the league's in great shape. Like there's a lot of really good teams, but it's
I mean, and it's kind of interesting. Like I'm not 100% sure exactly how we got here, and like I guess it's just we keep getting incredible young talent that comes on these teams and like pops early.
It's time for expansion, Robbie, to the desert. It's time. Seattle and Vegas, fire up the rosters. Expansion draft.
Fire up the U-Haul for me, buddy.
That's it. You're just gonna take over the beat on whichever team in Las Vegas. Just go ahead and move out there.
That'll be me.
You would spend so much money on food; it would be unspeakable.
Yes,
it's true. It's just all it is.
Just Spago standing reservation. Corn chowder in my eye hole all day. All day. Go to Spago, get the corn chowder. Tell them Kalland sent you.
They would roll out a table for you like that. Anyway.
It used to mean something in this town.
It's gonna be we're off the rails. But no,
we'll get a boulevard named after you, Brad.
Before we sign off, do you have a favorite over-under in the Western Conference? Do you have a favorite play? You don't have to, but if you have one, let's round it out.
Favorite play legit might be Minnesota.
Over. I almost said that too. Like I was thinking about it, like what I was going to say.
I think it's them or the Clippers over.
Yeah, I think for me it is probably the Wolves over. Yeah. After that, I don't love an under in the West anywhere. Like there's some teams I'd like the under. I think I'd take them on the Lakers. I would take it on the Blazers, I think. But the Kings, like I kind of like the Kings. I don't know. That's a weird sentence.
It's going to be really weird because I think there's a chance that we end up with a very clear break where there are 6 or 7 teams that are just trying their hardest to be horrific. And we get a ton of wins at the top.
Well, that's the line. I mean, that's one of the arguments against the teams in the middle this year in both conferences, but especially in the West, is like if you want to fade the Kings, part of that is that you like the team at the top. Or if you want to fade the Blazers, same thing. Like those teams in the middle, the best teams can afford one injury, a big injury even, and still be pretty good. If you're the Kings, if you lose Sabonis, like you're probably done for the season. Mm-hmm. If you're the Blazers and Dame is not Dame, or Dame gets hurt, you're done. That's it. That's it for you. So Yeah, it's weird to me, but I think we're on the same. I think I would probably take the Wolves over. And I have family from Minnesota. I lived there briefly in my very, very small youth. It is very strange to advocate as a best bet the Minnesota Timberwolves over.
I got like screamed at last year because I was like, I can't advocate the Wolves over. I didn't even take the under. I just said I can't until they prove that they can get past like just the all-time bad vibes organization.
I have an original. I wish I had it close to me. I have an original season Minnesota Timberwolves T-shirt in my closet because I lived there when they launched. Now I was very small, but my dad is an adult. It's an adult-sized T-shirt. That's how long I've been following the Minnesota Timberwolves semi-closely. Now I'm not a Wolves fan. I'm a Hawks fan.
Lifelong.
But I mean, my uncle has had season tickets since the first year of the Wolves, like literally, and they've been bad for they're not Kings bad
90% of,
but they've been bad for the majority of the time.
80% of their existence.
So it's weird to have that over, but we're on the same page. I mean,
no, I'm with you. Like
one bet, I think I take the Wolves over. So
yeah,
the ball's in your court, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, part of that really is like I have long thought that Rudy was just an underrated entity in the regular season. Like, I just think he's not because people don't like him or whatever reason. Like the personal stuff with Rudy, he doesn't get respect from players, and I get it. The results are the results. Like in the regular season, like he just wins.
Oh, and like it's what Utah did every year. Like every year, everybody was like, "Well, maybe Utah will fall off," and they just didn't.
No,
like last year, they kind of did.
Yeah, I wasn't a believer either in Utah, generally speaking, but they just kept winning, and
they just always won.
Rudy, and even if you don't like Rudy, you could just be like, okay, Anthony Edwards is going to be a guy. And he already kind of is. So
they have 3 legit star level guys.
3 stars. Russell's a good player.
And like we're not even like D'Angelo Russell guys.
Oh no, I'm low
as
on
the 4th guy.
If he's your 4th guy and he fits well with Gobert,
player.
Yeah. So I think we're on the same page there. All right, Robbie, I'll let you get out of here. Thank you for all the time. Anything to plug at the end of the podcast? On video, you can see Robbie's Twitter handle, but he can share it for you on the audio side, and then we'll get out of here.
At Robby Kalland and. Check out our work on Dime and UPROXX Sports, and you can listen to the Puntcast if you are so inclined.
There you go.
For college football stuff.
The season, as people listening to this on Tuesday, the season begins tonight. The Hawks open Wednesday, but the season actually begins in the NBA on Tuesday. So if you have thoughts on your win totals, get them in now. It's you don't have much time to wait, or futures and all that stuff. So check out BetOnline for all that stuff. Thank you to Robbie for joining us on the podcast today. Please subscribe to the show and podcast and read Dime and all that fun stuff. We'll see y'all one more time between now and the opener on Wednesday for the Hawks. Stay tuned. We'll see you then.